Welcome back to another edition of the Knight Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie O'Leary. A lot to talk about today. Big win, quad one win last night for the basketball team, 80-76 at home over Penn State. We have the Rutgers Football 2025 schedule that has been announced. We'll go through every game and talk about what we think of the schedule. And we have some portal updates. If you haven't been following on the boards, over the last 3 days, we've had over 100 new portal follows. We'll get into some ones that interest us a lot, maybe talk about some guys that we think the staff should go after hard. But we'll get into all that and more. But first, this podcast is presented to you once again by Knight and Day Apparel. Hey, Rutgers fans, get ready to slam dunk your style with Knight and Day Apparel. Cheer on the Scarlet Knights this basketball season in our exclusive Rutgers gear. From trend-setting designs to lifestyle garments, we've got you covered with everything you need to support your team in comfort and flair. Stand out in the crowd and show your passion for Rutgers basketball with designs that celebrate every dribble, dunk, and victory. Use our promo code RutgersRivals to get 10% off your purchase. Don't wait. Head to Knight and Day Apparel today and gear up for the game. Go Knights.
Nice little ugly Christmas sweater there. I think that's new.
Oh, yeah, that's new. Ooh, I like that white shirt. That white Rutgers one. Go down. That's definitely a new one. I've never seen that before.
Heavyweight t-shirt, too.
That's sick. That means, all right, I got my next order.
It's a hell of a color. Eat Crew.
Looks like a cream white. That's sick.
It's pretty nice, though.
We are also presented to you by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline has you covered with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. Head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so last night, big-time win for Rutgers basketball. You said it was almost a must-win. I said it was a must-win, and they went ahead and won the game. First half, I thought they played lights out. They were playing a wide-open offense, getting a lot of open threes, hitting a lot of shots. And then the second half, things slowed down a bit, but they were able to hold on for the victory. I mean, they didn't – I think that for the most part in the second half, it was like a 6 to 8 point game, but Penn State clawed back at the end to get it down to 2, but Rutgers was able to hold on. Incredible atmosphere. I think it was night and day, the difference between the atmosphere from the Merrimack game on November 20th. I see what I did there. And last night's game. I got in a few minutes late, right around the first media timeout, and like you went through the doors, and it was a very surreal scene for me because as I'm waiting in line, unfortunately, somebody was getting wheeled off in a stretcher. Looked like he was having some kind of medical emergency. So whoever that was, I hope you're doing okay. But then as we walk past and scan our tickets, it is just like a wall of sound that hits you coming into the rack. And I watched the replay this morning, and sure enough, Dylan Harper hit 3 threes in that first media timeout window. So I missed that. But some really impressive performances last night. Jermichael Davis got the surprise start, but Dylan Harper had 25 points, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. He had career high 12 rebounds. Ace had 15 points, 15 rebounds, also a career high for him in rebounds. Michael obviously was very excited about that. But we also got a lot of production off the bench last night. I think we had 27 points off the bench, which is a welcome surprise. Rich, what did you think about last night's performance for the Scarlet Knights? I
mean, the freshmen are not playing like freshmen anymore, I guess. There were moments, I guess, early on where Ace Bailey, I think it was 2 of 6 in the first half. So there were some struggles from him early on scoring wise, but he had 9 rebounds in the first half. That's damn near incredible. The duo combining for 27 rebounds is also damn near incredible, considering neither one of them is considered a big man. Actually, Ace considers himself a guard, so I guess you could say they're guards, but he's 6'10", so whatever. I think it's time. I think I have to say it. I think Dylan Harper might be the better player of the two. I know we don't have to compare and contrast the two that much, but I think Dylan Harper is just amazing. The offense runs through him, and he's able to do anything. He can score. He can play passer first. He can do it all, basically. The Cade Cunningham comparisons are coming to realization. I think guys actually contributed other than those two as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you get damn near 40 points off of those two, it's huge. And you should probably get 30, 40 points a game from those two. But other guys contributed. Like PJ Hayes was better. Tyson Acuff even looked better. Jermichael Davis, you mentioned, looked better. Jeremiah Williams looked solid comparing to his game before that, where he was like 1 of 8, 1 of 9, something like that. Everyone, it was just an overall team effort. They shot the ball well. I thought that first half was amazing. Second half, some scares, but for them to fight off the comeback, I guess you could say, is huge because this is a young team. It's a new team, a team that's still gelling and they're figuring things out. And this is a huge win resume wise because I said it before, this Penn State team is probably going to make the tournament if I had to guess based on the schedule right now and what they've already done. I don't want to say it's a lock, but it's probably a lock to be a Q1 at the moment, maybe Q2 at very worst. So this is a very big win, and for morale wise, it's huge to just get that monkey off your back of those couple losses in a row and get back on the winning track. And it's a big win heading into a big rivalry game, despite the rival being very bad this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lock to be a Q1 win just because I think you have to be in the top 30 of the net for a home game to be considered. Yeah. So I think without a doubt it'll be Q2, but this is a very, very good Penn State team, like you said. I mean, you look at their starters, they're almost all like 4th or 5th year or 6th year players. So playing against basically grown men when you have a bunch of guys who are still trying to like grow into their bodies is a big deal. Rebounding, despite being, undersized at some positions, Rutgers did a really good job rebounding last night. 46 rebounds on the night compared to just 32 for Penn State. I think the biggest blemish, if you're going to critique something, was the free throw shooting. That's what kept Penn State in this game. Rutgers had a huge advantage in terms of free throws attempted, 25-9, but Rutgers shot 14 of 25 from the line. So you make half the misses, the game's not ever in reach in that one. Rutgers also had quite a few turnovers. They had 14 turnovers in this game. A lot of just kind of, it seemed like at some point they kind of were starting to just not fall apart, but just like some real bad lapses in judgment in the second half. There was a turnover where Penn State was pressing and they had two guys defending up and nobody was coming up to help the inbounder, and they threw the ball away. There's a few just bad passes there was one specifically from Durkat to Lathan that just made no sense whatsoever. He just kind of like, popcorned it up in the air. So there's definitely some things to clean up, but this is the most complete game that Rutgers has played all season. So hard to be to critique it too much because I thought they did play really, really well overall. It was nice to see PJ Hayes get back in the action. Some really big threes in the first half. Some big threes from Tyson Acuff. Durkat did his usual Durkat things, coming off the bench this time. He played 24 minutes, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 points for him. Penn State got into foul trouble as well. Penn State committed 22 fouls compared to just Rutgers 14. They had a couple guys with 4 fouls late in the game that I think changed how they had to play the game. Ace Baldwin picked up 2 really quick fouls in the second half, and he was kind of in foul trouble most of the second half.
But overall, they shut him down completely. That was huge.
Yeah.
And he's one of the better guards, not in the Big Ten, but probably in the country, to be honest with you.
He is, yeah. If you look, he had 8 points last night. He's averaging 14 a game. He had 17 against Purdue. He had 20 against Clemson 2 weeks ago. So he's been putting up points. So great performance. You needed something like this to get momentum going again. Big time rivalry game this upcoming weekend, like you said, against Seton Hall. Seton Hall is not good this season for those who haven't been paying attention. They lost to a winless Monmouth at the time. They've lost a lot of really ugly games. I think Danny Breslau was saying this. They have a very similar team to Rutgers from last year, where they play pretty good defense, but they have nothing going offensively. So I hope they come out and play the way they did last night on Saturday, because if that's the case, they'll win handily. And I know that when Ace and Dylan, I think in the Knighthood podcast this past summer when they were talking about, what are some of the things they're looking forward to most. Both of them mentioned the Seton Hall game, so they're going to be fired up. They know what kind of rivalry this is, and I'm just really excited to get there on Saturday and watch this game.
So you said Monmouth beat Seton Hall. Monmouth's played 11 games. How many games do you think they've won so far this season?
I'm going to go with the big Uno.
Yep. That's such a bad... They almost beat
terrible.
Princeton the other day, but they lost by, I think, 5 or 6. So it goes to show you that Princeton's really not that good either. There is one team in New Jersey that's really solid, and I think the rest is it's kind of bad this year for New Jersey overall. But yeah, no, Saturday should be fun. It is considered a must-win. You cannot lose that game if you want any shot at the tournament. Now, one question mark, which we didn't even mention yet, Mystery Man Martini.
Yeah, he didn't get a single minute last night.
That was a little interesting considering he was a starter for every game, most, if not every game so far.
He started a lot of games, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just hasn't played that well, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Defensive-wise, rebounding-wise, he's been okay. He just hasn't been able to score either. He's been very quiet, and it's just interesting to see how Pikel manages that going forward because he was expected to be a key piece. He's expected to be, I thought, probably your second best outside shooter behind Hayes. So that's where things get a little bit interesting going forward.
Yeah, and obviously Pikel really likes him as a player. I mean, he was the first guy to contact him after he entered the portal. But he hasn't really played a whole lot in any of the last few games. He only played 12 minutes against Alabama with no points. He played 12 minutes against Texas A&M with no points. And he played 9 minutes against Ohio State with just that lone three-pointer. And in those 3 games, he's committed 8 turnovers. He's committed 8 fouls, 2 turnovers. And to get 8 fouls in, 33 minutes, 8 fouls in 33 minutes combined the last 3 games.
Brutal.
Not great.
Yeah.
Anything else hoops related before we move on to some football talk?
No, I heard the Winter Village did pretty well. I heard a lot of people went to it. If you see me on Saturday with a beer in my hand in the Winter Village before the game, mind your business. I need a pregame beer. No, I probably won't be out there, to be honest. But if I was out there, I would be drinking a beer. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm going to be out there if you want to meet up there.
Oh, there we go. Now I have to have a beer. See how this works? It's just like it's not a drinking problem. It's just it's a habit.
Yeah. I only drink when I go to Rutgers basketball games, and I go to every Rutgers basketball game.
Exactly.
It was a big draw for my girlfriend going to the Rutgers game this weekend.
There you go.
She's a very big Christmas person. So
they got to get like they don't have pictures with Santa in there, do they? I don't think so.
I didn't see it before this game, but it did look pretty professional. A lot of tents and lights and things like that. They had food trucks. So
I saw balloon animals. Oh, that was kind of cool.
Yep.
Different. I don't know. But yeah, that's all I got hoops related. But big game on Saturday. Don't forget.
Huge game. All right, let's talk football schedule. The 2025 Rutgers football schedule has been announced. And I think it shapes up pretty nicely for Rutgers. Obviously, the opponents on the top end are tougher. There's going to be 3 college football playoff teams on our schedule next year.
But pull it up. Give me a sec.
Yeah, it's saying
I don't know
browser lacks system permissions.
Yeah, it's weird. I'll figure that out. Here we go. This should be it. Boom. There we go.
Perfect. All right. So for the audio listeners at home, I'm going to run through this and then we'll get into it a little deeper. The schedule opens up on August 30th with a home game against Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats. The following weekend on September 6th, we play Miami of Ohio at home. The weekend after that, we have another home game in the out-of-conference to close out out-of-conference against Norfolk State on September 13th. We open up Big Ten play on September 20th with a game at home against Iowa. Then we have our first road game of the season, September 27th at Minnesota. Then we have a bye. So that's 5 games, then a bye. And then after the bye, we play on October 11th at Washington. You follow that up with a home game versus Oregon. And then a road game at Purdue. That's on October 25th. And on November 1st, we play a road game at Illinois. Then November 8th, we play a home game against Maryland. Then we have our second bye. So we have 5 games bye, another 5 games bye. We close out the season first at Ohio State on November 22nd. And then the schedule closes at home against Penn State on November 29th. Those final 2 games, that's going to be brutal.
Yeah, not ideal.
But I think that first little quadrant of the season, those first 5 games, you really got to go 4-1 at least in those 5 games in order to be bowling next year. I think. I don't think any game's going to be out of reach, but I think you kind of need to start strong with how the last 6 games are for Rutgers.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the first 3, they obviously should all be wins. I know Ohio has a new coach, so that's going to help things. Yep. Miami, Ohio, I don't think was good this year. I don't recall, to be honest.
No, they were. They were in the MAC championship. They lost 30.
Oh, yeah, they played each other. Yeah, forgot about that. All right, so they're going to be a little bit tougher. Plus, I don't like scheduling MAC schools personally, just because the MAC has that crazy record against the Big Ten. It's not phenomenal, but like there's like been a Big Ten school upset a MAC, or a MAC school upset a Big Ten school in like 14 of the last 16 years or 17 years or something like that. It's a lot of risk involved. I'd rather just schedule a more local team, put like Temple on the schedule, and then you can beat Temple, and it's easy, simple as that, done. Put UMass on the schedule. You have a connection there now. Technically a MAC team, I guess now, but whatever. I prefer more local. Norfolk State, there was bound to be an FCS program. That's just the Greg Schiano way. It was, what was it, Howard last year? What was the year before? Monmouth, I think, was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was.
It doesn't,
so,
it is what it is. You pick one, and it doesn't really matter.
Iowa's
it was Wagner for 2 years in a row.
Oh, that's what it was, Wagner, yeah. Iowa was interesting early on. I think the Big Ten did him a huge favor by giving him a bye before going West Coast, which is huge. And I like to pick at least like one road game every year, at least, if not more. I think that one might be the one right there. Just go to Washington, check it out. It won't be too cold yet.
They have one of the coolest setups for tailgating in the country. They call it sailgating.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can
awesome.
Basically tailgate on a boat or on a dock. It looks incredible. That would probably be the game that I would consider going to as well. Ohio State, I'm glad we got a bye before them.
That's huge too.
The last time we played, we got a bye before them and almost knocked them off in 23. So, and you never know what's going to happen with their program. Obviously, they're going to be good regardless of who the coach is, but they get knocked out by Tennessee in round 1. Heads are going to roll into Columbus, so we'll see how it goes.
And I will say it, I cover the other school. Putting them last is interesting, if you're going to try to make this rivalry type thing. On top of it, they might have a new quarterback, a new running back, a new offensive line, new wide receiver group. So they might be a new OC, maybe even. I know he said he's probably staying, but West Virginia was pushing for him. So, and they haven't announced a coach yet. So maybe they would come back around the table there. But they might have a totally different team next year. So. Yep. Who knows? And could be the year of getting the monkey off your back if you're Rutgers for a couple programs.
Yeah, no, it's set up for the opponents that we have. I think the schedule sets up about as nicely as you could have hoped for.
Yeah,
get a bye before the 2 longest distances you're going to have to travel on the season for the most part. Minnesota's a little bit further than Ohio State, but to get a bye before those games, I think is huge. Kind of breaking up the schedule into digestible chunks is huge. So I'm excited. I like the schedule. We'll see how the rest of the Big Ten looks. You hope, the schedule broke so nicely this year also because we had that huge net rest advantage. Like we didn't face any teams coming off their bye. We had those little baked in advantages of, playing on a Thursday and the following week we play on a Saturday. So having a few extra days, those little things don't seem like a lot, but they are, when you stack them all up over the course of a season, they're a big deal. Obviously, it didn't end up mattering because we were, the walking wounded this year. Yeah. But in a season where you don't have this like rogue wave of injuries, I think it would play a bigger part. But
I like this. This is a nice schedule. The thing, I said it before, it kind of drives me nuts though. I just realized Maryland's not the last game and Penn State is. I get it if you're trying to push that rivalry, but it's not a protected rivalry. The protected games versus Maryland. Keep it on rivalry weekend. Make it the last game of the season. Make it mean something. I don't know. I'm very against whatever the Big Ten's trying to do there with, for some reason, not putting Rutgers, Maryland at rivalry weekend. But the rest is pretty cool. I think that, like you said, the net rest is going to be interesting to see how that pans out. But do you have a chance to stand? Am I crazy for saying 5-0 going into Washington?
Certainly a possibility.
Iowa's the question mark, I guess.
Iowa is always going to be a tough game. Stylistically, they are very similar to us, so I don't think it's out of the question. But I think 4-1's probably more likely. But we'll see.
Yeah, see how this team pans out too. And a little segue because they have a transfer portal that they're hitting up pretty hard.
They are. Let's go into some guys that Rutgers has offered. Give a brief update on each of those before we get into some guys they started recently following. So let's go through the offers. Colin Weber is on the tail end of his official visit. I assume you haven't heard anything about him because he's still on campus.
Correct.
Doug Blue Eli is a new offer. We mentioned him in the last pod, how he was visiting, and you could assume anybody with a visit is basically has an offer, and you confirm that he does. He starts his visit today. What are your general vibes on Doug Blue Eli?
I'd say probably as close to a lock as you can be. I know people were concerned when we posted his numbers and his stats, and there's not a whole lot of numbers there, to be honest. But he does have Power 5 experience at TCU. He played at South Florida for a couple of years, played at JUCO, Monroe College, New Rochelle. We know Greg Schiano has recruited there previously with Cedric Pagliant. I forget how to pronounce his name. So there is some connections. Paulsboro, New Jersey guy. I think this would be more of a rotational piece than anything, which is fine. You need as many bodies on the interior as you can get. You saw once that bye week hit, they really retooled that defensive line and the snap counts, and you really saw more guys playing 20 snaps each versus two guys just dominating the 40, 50 snap count. So it's always good to have a rotational piece. He's put up a couple 37 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and an interception, uniquely enough. So I think this would be a solid piece. He's also massive. He's 6'2", 320, 315-ish around there. So just a run stuffer for the most part. That's kind of how he was used, it sounds like, down at South Florida. But I think he could be a solid piece. I think you still probably have to go out and add at least one more defensive tackle. But I'm pretty confident this one's going to end up in Rutgers' favor. And I know we kind of skipped over him a little bit because he's still on his visit, but I'm pretty confident Colin Weber will also be a Scarlet Knight when it's all said and done.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think he's a heavy Rutgers lean. I'll say that. Some other guys that Rutgers has offered or allegedly offered, Kazim Moore, the defensive end out of Elon. What are you hearing going on with his recruitment as it pertains to Rutgers?
Very quiet recruitment. Now, not all of these kids are like, it's not like high school recruiting where these kids are going out of their way to go tweet out this and tweet out that. Yeah. And tweet out just about everything they've done.
Some kids are, though. Yeah. Some kids are not, yeah.
Now, he actually, ironically, does tweet out his offers, but he's also being very quiet about what he's going to do. Spoke to someone that knows his agent because, everyone has an agent now. And Rutgers is pretty heavily involved there. It's just a matter of can they get him to campus. Now, he's got every offer in the book right now. I know since we last spoke, Colorado and Georgia Tech offered, and previously we mentioned USC, Wisconsin, Cal, Oklahoma State, Kentucky, Texas Tech, Cincy. You get the gist, like just about everybody. Rutgers has done pretty well with North Carolina kids, though. This is where it's going to be interesting to see how much relationships matter, too, because Scott Vallone has built quite a bit of quite the large amount of relationships down in North Carolina. So he is familiar with some of the coaches down there that have worked with him in the past, trainers. So we'll see how much that plays a factor, because we know schools like Colorado, schools like USC in particular, just looking at some of those offer lists, these schools are not afraid to pay heavy money for kids like this. Now Rutgers also has that advantage now too, because they have revenue sharing that they can promise kids. So it's all kind of built in, but we'll wait and see. Nothing new to report in terms of visits still for Kazim Moore.
And a player that was reporting an offer, who I just wanted clarification. Jerron Tibbs, the
Mhm.
Purdue wide receiver, he announced that he had an offer. Does he actually have what's going on with him and Rutgers?
Yeah, I was told he doesn't have an offer right now. Could he get one down the line? Sure, it's possible. But he hasn't received one yet. Just a name that they have early interest on. I don't know if there's just some miscommunication there or something like that, but I was told that there is no offer as of right now. And it'd be really kind of a weird to offer it because he's one of the bigger receivers too, right? I believe.
Yeah, he's a big guy. I think when I wrote him up, I think he's like 6'2" or 6'3". Hold on, I have it here.
Yeah, I would just be shocked at them going for an outside receiver. And to be
6'3",
honest,
214.
yeah, so he's not. I could see him going for a slot guy, 100%. And they've
Mm.
followed a couple and even talked to a couple. But I'd be shocked if they went for an outside guy for the sole fact that Ian Strong and Corey Duff or KJ Duff are like kind of locked in at those spots. Can you upgrade at one of them? Arguably, maybe. I don't know, but I wouldn't bother because I think they're both damn good. I think Ian Strong had a breakout year, and Corey Duff has that same type of potential.
The other guy with an offer is CJ Campbell, the running back from FAU. Are you hearing
Yes.
anything going on in his recruitment with regard to Rutgers? I know we just talked about it yesterday, but these things move fast.
No, nothing new yet. He hasn't scheduled any visits. I still find it so funny that one of his offers is from Florida State, considering they had him as a walk on 2 years ago and just let him leave, and now it's like, oh shit, like maybe we did need him, maybe we did need a guy like that, but yeah, no, nothing totally new yet. He's kind of trying to figure things out, figure out where he wants to visit. I know a lot of these coaches and agents and everyone's kind of pushing to get these visits done before the new year and try to do it ASAP. Like I know there's a kid that's going on that I tweeted out earlier, not Rutgers related, but a kid from Western Carolina is going on a visit Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to 4 different schools. That's to
Jesus.
like Kansas, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee State. Now, are they all kind of West Virginia? Are they kind of close to this? Yeah, sure, I guess. But to bounce around like that is just insane. Like that's what everyone's trying to do now. Like there's a wide receiver that actually has Rutgers interest who we can mention, but it's probably not going to be worth it to mention that much. What was his name? Damn it, Eric Rivers from Florida International, wide receiver.
Mm.
He just scheduled 4 visits to Miami, Nebraska, Penn State, and Colorado, all within a 7-day span. So he's going to be bouncing around the country. Like everyone is pushing to get these kids on campus ASAP and get it done and over with. And like you see Rutgers. Rutgers already got 2 guys on campus, so I'm sure we'll see more soon. Although the Campbell news is definitely interesting and something to monitor because it's a running back. Like I mean, you thought you were kind of set there, but with Sam Brown's injury history, with the young guy still being young, I don't really know what you're getting out of Jayshon Benjamin right now. Has he flashed a couple times? Sure, but I think you can always I think that this kid would be considered a certified upgrade. And I said it last pod, but 1A, 1B type if he does come on board. And between him and Raymond, I think he was probably better than Raymond, to be honest with you. But I think Raymond would also still get a lot of carries. They've used Sam Brown and Kyle Monangai for a long period of time. They used Kyle Monangai and Jayshon Benjamin the year before. They're always going to want 2 backs based on the fact that they run 60% of the time. So it makes sense.
Yeah. I want to do a quick rundown of all the guys that Rutgers has started following the past few days. Just to kind of give you an idea of the volume of this. In terms of the staffers, they followed over 100 guys the last 3 days combined. It was 51 on the 9th. It was 43 yesterday, and already today they're up to almost 30. So I'm just going to hit some of the high notes here in terms of guys I think make more sense. On the 9th, they started following 2 guys that I had on that speculative portal list, and they're both from Delaware. So Melkar Abdu Jaoud, he's a defensive end from Newton High School. He was in his first year as a starter for the Blue Hens this year. He had, as of 2 weeks ago, he had 21 tackles, 9 TFLs, and 8 sacks, and he had a PFF grade of 74.9. And then Ty Davis is a linebacker from UD. He's listed at 6'3", 215. 1 year of eligibility left. Went to Lenape High School in Mount Laurel. I started 3 years at linebacker for them. He had an 83.5 grade a few weeks ago. It's probably right around there still. A few of the other guys that are from the area who they started following: Patrick Methley. He is a tackle from Westchester. He went to he's from Avondale, PA, but he went to Sally in Wilmington. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Mekhi Jackson. He's a guy that we mentioned a few years ago. He's a 6'1", 200-pound wide receiver at App State. He started his career at St. Francis and was like a freshman All-American. He was a finalist for the Jerry Rice Award. He had like over 900 yards receiving as a freshman. He had like 800 yards receiving this year for App State. He's a pretty high-rated player on PFF. I believe it's in the 70s. Let me pull that up. Mekhi Jackson. Yeah, he's got a 72.8 this year. Rashawn Lawrence is one of the weirder ones, in my opinion, because this is a guy who is the 5th-rated defensive tackle in the nation, according to PFF. This season, he had 42 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception. He's listed at 6'2", 270. He goes to Stony Brook. He's from Philly. He's got offers from a lot of schools now: Minnesota, Georgia Tech, Washington State, Virginia. He's got over 20 offers. He set up visits in the next 10 days to Georgia Tech, Minnesota, Virginia, Memphis, and Tulane. Rutgers really hasn't shown any interest in this kid for some reason. I don't get it, but it is what it is. Rayon Strader from Miami of Ohio. He's from Pittsburgh. He's a really, really high-level corner. He is, I believe, even in like the top 10. I don't know. Sorry, he was a freshman All-American in 2023. He had 19 pass deflections in 2024, believe it or not, and 2 interceptions. Josh Baca, he's a safety out of Kent State, 6'1", 205. He's originally from Ontario, Ottawa. He played his high school ball at St. Thomas More. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Got to watch there with the connection to Coach Farrell. And then guys who we started following yesterday. One of the local guys who I highlighted in the speculative portal list is AJ Pena. He's a 6'2", 243-pound edge rusher. He's from Somerville, New Jersey. He went to Somerville High School. He had a crazy good year stats-wise this year. He put up 82 total tackles, 22.5 TFLs, 12.5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 pass breakups. He's got offers from Illinois and UMass already. He might have more at this point. Some other local guys they started following yesterday: Cam Dorner, 6'2", 190-pound wide receiver out of Shepherd College. He's got 1 year of eligibility. David Blay, he is a 6'4", 303-pound defensive tackle out of Levittown, PA. He went to Harry S. Truman High School. Josh Moten is one of the highest-rated corners in football. He was 4th overall. He started at Texas A&M, transferred to Marshall this past year. He had 38 tackles, 5 interceptions, and 5 pass breakups. And Josiah Trotter, who Eagles fans should recognize that name, that is Jeremiah Trotter's son. He was at West Virginia this past year, St. Joe's Prep alum. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. And Josiah Trotter put up 92 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and an interception in his first year starting for the Mountaineers. And there's about 30 new follows today. Another name that kind of got lost in the wash is Cole Kozlowski. That I talked about him in the speculative list. He is the 6'2", 240-pound linebacker out of Colgate. He is in the portal. He's racked up a ton of offers. He's from Manasquan, New Jersey originally. He's got offers from Marshall, Bowling Green, Middle Tennessee State, Toledo, Buffalo, UTEP, Western Kentucky, Colorado State. No P4 offers yet, but he was a second team, or he was first team All-Patriot League this year. He was an All-American this year. 133 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, or 4.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 1 interception, forced fumble, a kick block, and 7 pass breakups. He's another guy I think makes too much sense not to go after. But that's kind of the rundown of the recruiting or the transfer portal. I'm sure that, even in the time we're talking right now, there's probably been more guys followed and possibly more offers put out. Seems like they're being a little deliberate with who they offer, like they have been in the past. But hopefully they start casting a wider net in the near future. I feel like I've said the same thing for several years in a row. I don't know when I'm going to learn my lesson, but it's just they're way pickier than most schools.
Unreal expectations. I know everyone wants, and I'm in this boat too. Like, I think you have to build through the portal now. I think it's changed completely. Hell, look at Indiana, a playoff team in 1 year, from arguably one of the worst Big Ten teams to, I shouldn't even say arguably, was one of the worst Big Ten teams. Got their coach fired, got a new coach, brought in a bunch of transfers, and holy shit, they're in the playoff. Like, that's the prime example. Does it cost money? Yes, but you have no choice. This is just the way to build now. And I know Greg said it, that he wants to use it as a kind of fill in the gap type thing in the past, but that's a thing of the past. That's no longer the case. That can't be the case anymore. If you want to participate, not just participate, if you want to make noise in college football, you have to hit the portal hard. And they're doing it more than last year, I will say, but I still think there's a lot more that can be done. I would throw offers at just about anyone and everyone that is interested in Rutgers, to be honest.
Yeah, I would too. I'm looking through who we started following today, see if there's anybody local. The one guy who is local that we started following today is Chuck Nieto.
Okay.
He's a 6'2", 293-pound defensive tackle out of Elon. He is from Morristown, New Jersey, went to Del Barton. He's got 1 year of eligibility left, 17 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble so far this year. A ton of offers for this kid. Wake Forest, Colorado, UCF, Houston, Georgia Tech, James Madison, Toledo, North Carolina State, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Memphis, Boston College, a ton more. But a lot of offers for the New Jersey native, so keep an eye on him as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. They need to, I said it already, they need to just put more effort into this, I feel like. Maybe I'm beating a dead horse, like you said before, but it's do or die time, basically. Like, that's it. You need to take that next step. Are bowl games cool? Yep. Yes, they're great, but like, you need transfer guys to get to that next level. They need a big upset win in 2025, and that goes back to the schedule talk too. But yeah, that's all I can say. I'm just ranting at this point.
One guy who did just enter the portal today, about an hour ago, was Sadir Mitchell, the jumbo-sized lineman at the University of Texas, who played his high school ball at Bergen Catholic. They list him at 6'6", 340. He is a redshirt freshman this year. He played in 8 games, so he'll have 3 years of eligibility left. Didn't do anything crazy this year at Texas, but he's a really high-end recruit. He's got the size that they covet in terms of along the defensive line. It doesn't even look like he has a Twitter, so I don't even know how we would
he does
track
it's like
him.
Junior Sadir or something. Yeah, that's actually exactly what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So check back in on his situation, but that's definitely a name to monitor.
I don't even think he's in technically yet. I think he just announced he was going to the portal, but not like those rules really apply anymore, because you tell people you're in the portal and then everyone reaches out. Or they know you're going in back channel and everything. So there's that too.
Yep. So we will have everything covered about the portal on the boards, and we'll keep you updated on the pod as well. But if you want to get the straight to the vein transfer portal drip, you got to sign up for premium on the Knight Report.
Correct.
That's all I got, though. Is there anything that we missed out on, Rich, that you wanted to hit on?
No. Trying to see if I can hijack one of these drones so I can just fly it over practice every day and just.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're just trying to spy on someone on our boards. I think it's Block R has been suggesting I get a drone to fly over practice like for years now. So suspect number one, I should say. It's right there. It's in our message boards. He's been saying it for years. He just finally sacked up and bought 10 drones. There you go.
We got him.
Man, look at that. I solved everything. I'm a genius.
All right. That's all I got. Thanks once again for listening. Thanks to everybody who participated in the Dylan Harper card giveaway, sending us your Spotify Wrapped. That's about all we got. Stay tuned to your podcast feeds and the board for the news that will inevitably come, as it's one of the busiest times of the year covering college sports. But for me and Richie, this has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast. Signing off.